I came across this story by just skimming through my Twitter feed. This wasn't a story that was sent to me by email by any of my subscribers. And don't feel bad that you didn't know about it, because if I didn't skim through it, my timeline, I wouldn't have known about it. And I rarely do that. Usually I stay within my mentions or something like that to that effect, especially since my notifications go crazy now on Twitter as of lately. But these two individuals, the guy's name on the left, his name is Jimmy Atchison, and the one on the right name is Dietrich Griffin. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And both of these men were both killed in Atlanta, Georgia by the Atlanta police within a week of each other. Yet there was hardly any news coverage on it. Like none. Now you would think that me reporting on this story that they would have gotten killed, this week. No, they got killed like a week ago, but it's just now being reported. And you want to know why it's just now being reported? Because the city of Atlanta ignored this story because they wanted to focus on what they would perceive to be a more useful event to report on, something that the media would gravitate more towards, and that is none other than the Super Bowl. Yes, of course, if y'all don't already know, the Super Bowl will be held in Atlanta this year. And that's why they didn't talk about this story. Or at least that's one of the reasons why they chose. I'm going to go ahead and read this article. It says, 2 black Atlanta families are grieving the loss of their 2 sons. Jimmy Atchison and Dietrich Griffin both died at the hands of the police within a week of each other. Atchison's aunt Tammy Featherstone claims her nephew's death was put on the back burner because of the Super Bowl. The family attorney Tanya Miller believes Atchison's death should be taken priority of the football game this coming Sunday. It shouldn't be forgotten that the shooting happened just before the Super Bowl, at a time when people have been seeing football as a symbol of protest in light of Colin Kaepernick, bringing attention to police brutality and injustice. However, a police spokesman denied the claims. Atchison, who was only 21 years old, died on January 22nd after a federal task force tried to arrest him for an armed robbery warrant. Atchison encountered the officers and attempted to flee the scene. FBI spokesman Kevin Rowson said he jumped out of a window one of the apartments, jumped down a couple of floors. There was a foot chase that ensued into another apartment building, into another apartment. That's where the suspect was confronted. Now, when you read that, that sounds like something that came out of one of those extracurricular action-packed movies. Like some parkour type shit. They said that's where they found the suspect, and he was eventually shot and killed. However, Atchison's family believes the father of 2 was shot in the face while he was hiding in a closet and was unarmed. An autopsy will be performed to determine how he died. The incident is currently under investigation, and the officer who killed Atchison has not been identified and is currently on leave. Griffin died on January 15th, so now we're going from 1 week. We're literally, so crazy? So one got killed on Martin Luther King's birthday, and the other one got killed the day after the day they celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday as a federal holiday. So these literally, like they said, within a week of each other. It says he allegedly tried to steal a plainclothes officer's car at a gas station. The officer fired his firearm at the 18-year-old tried to drive away. Griffin's family also believe he was unarmed. Just because the officer was upset as somebody may have offended him, jumped in his car, whatever, right there. It's interesting they said they killed this guy when they said he allegedly tried to steal this cop's car. If y'all remember, there was a video that went out maybe 2 years ago now where this white guy literally was taunting this police officer and had that officer chasing him around or whatever. The officer, they literally started tussling. The guy got away from him, hopped in the cop's car and drove off. Not one shot was fired. I remember that video vividly, and some of y'all know exactly what video I'm talking about. Griffin's father, Courtney Griffin, said he was unable to see his son until the morning after his death, even though he rushed to the scene. I just got a phone call that said my son was up the street and was shot by a cop. I got up, I called his mom, and my first thought was just get there. I got to the scene. I was just 2 minutes away. I asked all of the officers. I showed them pictures of my son. They kept saying, we can't tell you. We don't know. I went around the whole block asking different officers, and they never told me. For 4 hours, they never told me. My son was sitting in the cold for 4 hours, dead for 4 hours, and nothing. It took my soul away from me. Riven's mother said her son was 4 months away from graduating high school and plans to become an aviation mechanic. The death is currently being investigated by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Mothers of the movement mentioned Atchison's death in their statement declining Jermaine Dupri's invitation to his Super Bowl live event. Last year, former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick lost his job for taking a knee at a peaceful protest against police brutality in black communities. It is only January 30th, 2019, and there have already been 56 people killed by police in America, including 21-year-old Jimmy Atchison in historic Southwest Atlanta. The father, too, was shot in the face, and he was unarmed. Now, another reason I'm doing this story is because you have some people online, like that Richie Rosario, who writes for Vibe, and that's just laughable even talking about that, who says that people in a certain community get ignored or overlooked because, you know, the media refuses to talk about them, or better yet, black men, straight black men, refuse to talk about them. Well, Richie Rosario, I would like to know, are you going to take your little fingers and type up an article talking about these two guys right here? Probably not, because I'm just gonna say that they weren't gay black men. They weren't famous, and because they were straight black men, you won't talk about them because you feel they get too much coverage. You see how that works? And see, I covered both stories, and mainstream media has ignored them and wants to bury it because of the Super Bowl. They're like, we'll just put their deaths on the back burner and worry about this game because this is not going to bring us any ratings. We'll talk about this on Monday, maybe even Tuesday, because they'll still be talking about the Super Bowl from Sunday. But I offer my condolences to both of their families, and it's sad because the one on the left, they said he was a father too. I even saw a picture of him with one of his kids, like they're infants, like they're babies. They're not going to be able to know their dad. And both of them were killed within a week of each other. And I already know how it's going to go. It's the same song and dance. They put them on leave. They're going to do their own little quote-unquote investigation. They're going to get off the hook. Watch, rinse, repeat. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be down in the description. I will talk to you in the next one.